All right, we're back. They had switched the mics because it's a good segue from it. The bishop will say 9 o'clock Mass on YouTube Live and Facebook Live tomorrow from the HTV studios. So Mass will happen again, and this for the Catholic religion. And really, all religions can pray. You can pray. We pray with all denominations around here, and we need the prayer right now. So 9 o'clock on Sunday. Once again, joining me, the parish president, Gordon Dove, and O'Neill Marlbrew with GIS Engineering. And Mr. Dove, let's start off with the president's visit. You know, just talked to Archie. We throw all the Democrat, Republican stuff out the window. President comes down. Y'all got down to talking about things we need. What was it like?
Well, Martin, you had Cedric Richmond, which is one of his chief advisors, and I served with Cedric. He's from New Orleans, but I served with him in the legislature. And you had Steve Scalise there, plus the head of FEMA was there, and and Archie Chasson, David Cormadell, and Chet Chasson from Fouchon was there, and also the mayor of Lafitte, which took a hard hit, of course, as everyone knows. And we basically, we asked them for diesel and gasoline for one thing, because now President Biden did inform us that he's opened up the strategic oil reserves and to start feeding 2 refineries. I know there's some other ones shut down, but there's 2 operating. And so he's opened that up so they get all the crude oil they need. And I believe one of them is a Chevron refinery, so that should help our production. And we also the needs for our levee systems at Terrebonne Parish, Boganza. It has first start language, and Congress did appropriate $3 billion, and we needed to move that as quick as possible.
He had to be impressed when he flew over to see the levee systems in Terrebonne and Lafourche.
Yes. So we had a lot of infrastructure, and remember Lafourche got hit with a 14-foot surge, which I'm sure Archie told you.
It was a record.
And when the hurricane first came in, we probably had 6 to 8 feet in surge, but then once it came on shore, we got nothing but north winds.
Yeah.
So. I
wish we could engineer a levee to stop the winds.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We can't do nothing with the wind. Now, in Terrebonne Parish, there was not one report of flooding. No one's reported it. There may be someone out there, but we don't know it. We had 15 to 20 inches of rain or better in certain areas, and our pump stations was operable. We lost Petit Caillou, Chauvin. When I say lost, we had Chauvin down pretty good, and then when it switched over, something tripped, so it took us a while to get out there.
I want to get a box in a box, Jay. We could roll in some footage while the parish president talks of the southern parts of the parish.
And other than that, we had one down Montague, which we put a temporary pump down there. We had a little problem with a pump. That's an older pump. And other than that, but there still was no flooding. And I've been down all the bayous, and the people at Terrebonne are cleaning up, and they were in good spirits, and just.
Can you believe it's almost a week tomorrow? I mean, it feels like, and I see O'Neill shaking his head over here. It's almost like everybody's been in that days, but a working days. And O'Neill, what do you remember? I mean, 14 feet. To me, we always talked about 9 or 10 feet, and Rita came in at 9, 11, 10 feet, but 14 feet is incredible.
It's amazing. That's a couple of feet higher than the old 100-year storm. If you remember, before Katrina, our 100-year storm event was going to be 12. So this is that's a couple of feet higher than that, that's supposed to have been historically had probably a foot and a half of freeboard on top of it. So we're not using that old FEMA height, but correctly so. It's going to be higher. So
I remember when we were live and we were in Lafourche showing the camera, And Wendell had lost all visual. He was at St. Anne, I think, hospital.
Right.
Our Lady of the Sea, I'm sorry. And we're sitting there talking about the weld mark where they welded the additional,
Right.
structure in Lafourche. And I said, well, Wendell, if the water's at the weld mark, what would that be? And he said, well, that would be around 11. I said, well, it's a foot higher than the weld mark. So at that point, it was 12. And he goes,
12.
oh, my God. He goes, I thought it was like at 8 because they had lost all. But that one
I heard
camera
y'all.
was hanging in there.
Exactly. I heard y'all talking. I was in Macomb, Woodville, but I heard y'all talking about it, and we were watching it come up on the gauge. I couldn't see the gauge, but I could see that well mark. Okay, and I heard y'all talking about it.
But when you're riding around with the parish president as a engineer, and engineers think a little differently than everybody else, and you're looking at all this damage in your mind, can you honestly think that we've all been through 4s before, but I have a feeling in short order we're going to see this thing upgraded to a 5.
Yeah, and as I heard, I think Gordy's the one that said it, that Chet and him clocked some wins in the 170s and something over the 157.
I even heard 190 on one boat. And those boats have pretty good instrumentation.
And the gauge at Grand Isle broke at 148. So
our camera went out earlier. Right on that first feeder band.
Right.
When a roof flew in front, and everybody said after that they couldn't believe it, but the winds were ferocious. That wasn't even the eye wall.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the feeder band right before the eye wall, which was ferocious in itself. But Gordy, as you drove around the parish, and how do they even begin to assess the damage on something like that?
Martin, I mean, look, Yellowfin Marine clocked, which is at the end of Dulac. It's not a half a mile from the Bubba Dove. Winds at 185 with an ocean-going supply boat. So those instruments are very accurate. I mean, they made it go across the ocean, and I mean, it was just unbelievable. The north, we got, as you know, once it hit land, the surge we got originally was when it was pushing on shore. It pushed the surge. I'm boats is 4 to 6, and one area I believe had 8 feet. So our levees easily handled that, and then the wind turned from the north. Mm-hmm. But what's mysterious about this hurricane is normally your north winds aren't as strong as the south winds, but these were. Right. This was a hurricane coming from us, from the north, at us from the north, as the thing progressed north, as it moved north, it was throwing north winds into Terrebonne Parish. And
what's the dynamics of it pushing against the Bubba Dove? And did it empty Lake Boudreaux?
Well, that would have been for Petit Caillou, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, well, it would have emptied it could have emptied some of Lake Boudreaux into the Homenab too, because you could come through Bayou Dulac.
Okay, right.
And yes, with 185 miles an hour of north wind pushing against a floodgate, I call them the locking mechanism. These big pins, they bent up, and Neil's the engineer that designed it, so he probably could elaborate a little bit more on that. And it moved the gate about 20 feet, but it let the water out. So
it really worked in our favor at one point.
It did its job, and of course, they're doing some repairs right now so we can get it back online, and Neil could probably go into
let me ask him real quick.
A little bit more detail.
Remember we got the phone call that the Bubba Dove was floating down the ship channel, which we quickly said was not the case, but O'Neill, I know this makes the engineers go back and sit down and go, okay, we got some more engineering to do, because we've never seen that dynamic, have we?
That's correct. And part of it is we've had some storms, but I don't think we've ever had one this big blowing this hard and doing that.
From the north.
Typically the wave and the movement of that water is measured by the length or the size of the lake. Lake Boudreaux is, if you take Lake Robinson and Lake Boudreaux and together, it's a long lake. It's a long, thin lake, kind of, sort of, between the two bridges of Dulac and Chauvin. And so the distance from where at the mouth of Bayou Chauvin to the north and at the levee to the bottom is a long ways, and we call it fetch. There's a lot of fetch in that lake when it's blowing straight from the north. And of course, typically when we have north winds, it's for a cold front. It's not for a storm. So that that's a 20, 25 mile an hour cold front. This is completely different. So nobody anticipated that. Even the criteria that we use is not even that. Okay,
so it's I guess it's going to force everyone to re-engineer for this storm.
Exactly.
For a reverse head.
Exactly. For a reverse
It's
head.
called a reverse head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but Martin, you showing all these pictures on here, and as I go around Terrebonne Parish, the homes that were built 2000. I've said it on your show before. After 2006, when I was in the legislature when we put it in the International Building Code as the model we followed under the state building code, those homes did very well. Some of the shingles didn't blow off, some did, and so out there in Louisiana, we believe we can control the flooding. I mean, look, we had 110 pumps working, nobody flooded. We had 15, 20 inches of rain, so we think we got that down pretty good. I mean, we still got a little ways to go on everything. So now we need to. Anything new that's being built and everything replaced here will be built to hurricane standards, which is a good thing, And
let me ask you about, if I could ask you about Mike Sobek came on yesterday and did a pretty good job of explaining that. But if you live in areas that still don't have water, and I asked him about it because everybody wants water. When he told me the amount of valves and piping in this parish, my jaw dropped. If you're not in the business and you turn on your faucet every day and you got water, we sort of take for granted the infrastructure on the water. But water's a big deal, and it's going to take time to get that pressure. He said they try to get it up to at least 20, but it takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, in fact, he told me, and remember, the hospital, he had to get water for the chiller systems, and that they got up to 30. So
he said it'll reach the top floor now.
Right. Which he told me 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And I don't know if did he give you a percentage of the parish that has water, or did he?
He did at one point. I'm trying to remember because he walked me phase to phase. He did, but
yeah.
What are you seeing right now from you end? What's your assessment?
I believe this is a guess. Mike would know more than me, but from what I'm seeing, I think we're close to 50% of the parish with water.
Okay.
Is because I'm talking to people. I mean, we've got water. Mike Sobad and them are doing a great job. And but look, I just got it from the Corps of Engineers. The H&C channel is closed in accordance with the Coast Guard. There's 20 obstructions in the H&C, but anyway, I just wanted to.
When you say obstructions, just large structures? Yeah, okay.
Sucking vessels.
Okay, all right.
Sucking vessels, and
Or
I don't know
flown
how
off
the
buildings.
vessels got over there, but with a north wind, I guess they brought them in from someplace. And
Now, what about electrical? Because and I want to sort of talk about that because I'm understanding there's so much strategic stuff to these grids and how they put them on, and that maybe trucks were leaving the parish to try to get grids on that possibly we needed. But I understand. I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth that there was a heated discussion to get some trucks back in town. So I'm gonna give you the floor now.
well, Martin, I was on my way to EOC, and I saw this line of line trucks and pickup trucks, and all of a sudden I watched them turn on Highway 90 going towards New Orleans, and they were relocating 300 of our trucks, and not to go to a whole long detail because it would take a while. All hell broke loose. I mean, I called our local delegation, Tanner McGee, Jerome Zarang, Brett Elaine. Of course, the first ones I called was Steve Scalise, Garrett Graves. I called Craig Green with the Public Service Commission, John Kennedy, Cassidy, and then I got in touch with the president of Entergy, and after long, lengthy, loud discussions, and and they turned around and they turned the trucks back around, came in, and then of course they dispersed other trucks.
And you
here.
served with him, didn't you?
No, I knew him from the legislature,
Okay. But in the long run, he came through.
Look, I want to thank him. I want to thank Entergy. I know they're trying to move assets around, but you cannot take assets from Terrebonne Parish, and so everything's good. That was a little bitty heated deal, but the CEO of Entergy came through with us, so I got to thank him for it. And
that was one of those, after that kind of heated discussion, you go drink a Corona Premier and everything gets better.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right, let me ask you this, because and I also want to say that understand O'Neill, your brother-in-law Marty, who has been doing a lot of good things, and I just want to give a couple of plugs. We need them every now and then. So there's a lot of people who are either in office or still not in office. There's a lot of resource being pulled to get everybody back on their feet in Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish, and I think with the president coming in, if he had any inclination that he was going to land, it was just a New Orleans deal, that was thwarted pretty good, because and to be honest, it's good to have a guy like Cedric Richmond at this time right in his ear, because Garda, like you said, you served with him. That's valuable to have somebody right there who could burn his ear all the way back to Washington.
That's right, Martin. And the one thing I brought up to the president, Cedric and Steve Scalise, I said, while I got you here, Mr. President, we need a standalone bill in Congress, bipartisan, no attachments or hitchhikers, we call it, where they attach it, because that's what kills these bills. And we need to have a flood insurance reform. People cannot afford $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 flood insurance, Mr.
Right.
President.
What a big deductibles.
You're right. And Steve Scalise and Cedric said they tried it 3 years ago and passed out the House, but it was killed. It was killed in the Senate, because the senators from states that don't flood were against it. Okay, so
Well, break us off. Do it for us.
but they did say at the end of the day they would try to move that forward again, and that was one of the that came out of it. Another thing was asked, and Archie may have elated on this, we have 30 days of 100% reimbursement from FEMA, and we asked for 60 to 90 days, and I believe we're going to get at least 60 the way the conversation went.
What does that mean to the people? I guess?
Okay. In other words, we got all these cleaning crews out there, debris removal contractors. And what it is, it's a contract that was approved by the council for an emergency, and they submit proposals. Everything's got to be procurement, because the federal government has a different procurement method than everyone else. And this company, DRC, was a successful one, but they've been doing Terrebonne for quite a long time. And they actually have the open checkbook to hire whoever they want and get it out of there. And then our job is to push them to make sure they get.
So this is all the trees stacked up on the side of the road and all the trash and all that. Get it in and get it out.
Get it in, get it out, and
Get them in and get it out. But yeah, because if another storm would happen to come around, that's all debris that could be airborne. A lot of that stuff. So.
Right. And you were asking about the electrical, Martin.
Yeah.
Okay, right now, I'm gonna just get the Homer substation, Humphrey substation, Ridgeville substation, Shreva substation, Southland substation, Terrebonne substation, Coteau substation, Chauvin substation, Cascade substation. We have 100% assessments on all these, and we're repairing it accordingly. We're going to interconnect with September 9th, which is next Thursday, to the utilities on a transmission line from Entergy, and we're going to power the water plant and Terrebonne General be the first two things powered. And then after that, we'll power whatever areas we have ready, because there's still some work to do. Like, I'm going to just give you an example. The Southland substation, 100% assessed, 115 broken poles, 120 down spans, 120 pieces of damaged equipment. And then Terrebonne substation, 160 broken poles, 130 down spans, 130 pieces. So we've identified it. Now we have 200 linemen out there. That's 200 additional linemen plus the ones we normally use. That's doing work right now.
And that's some dangerous work. I understand 2 people have died, not necessarily in this area, but around from working on these poles.
Right, and not from here though.
No, but
'cause I
just
haven't
dangerous
heard
work altogether.
Now another good thing is, no one, thank God, there's no reported fatalities due to the hurricane,
Right.
and along with no floods, no reported floods. But you have 3 utility companies in town. You have Homer Utilities, which is what I run. Ernie Brown is the department head. Then you have Sleeker and you have Entergy. Entergy has 24,000 customers. Sleeker has 8,500 customers, and we have 14,500 customers. So we each have our own. And I do know Sleeker has 1,000 men between Lafourche and Terrebonne, and hundreds of line trucks that's working. We have hundreds of line trucks for Terrebonne, for the home utilities.
Right.
And as you know, we brought back 300 of Entergy's trucks.
I heard they might have brought back more than 300.
Well, they put some trucks on us, and I want I know we were doing some screaming and hollering to Entergy. And but I want to thank Philip May, who's the CEO, for coming back and getting us some trucks back, and the waterworks is getting the water moving. I mean, Mike Sobad, not a better guy in the world.
Yeah, he works hard.
Sewage, we're up and running on a lot of the sewage systems,
Right.
And so our big thing now is to get utilities, and I was reading off, we've identified all what we have to do. We just have to get in there and do it.
Let me ask you about the plant down Barrow Street, the electric power plant. Is it totaled? Is it 50% up? Is it going to be functional? What's the status on that?
We cannot operate it. The boilers was damaged. Those boilers are old. I mean, this plant's 60 years old.
They look like taco shells, and they got knocked off.
They were, they're completely destroyed as far as the use of them. The roof, remember that building was retrofitted to a Cat 4 roof. That's why I can guarantee you we had a Cat 5 hurricane.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it blew the roof, it blew part of the roof off, beams were falling, we had to evacuate the men. If that plant wouldn't have been damaged, Homer would be up and running here within our own, it's a backup generator,
Right,
and of course, it's going to take a lot of repairs. It's in disarray.
So we're having to get the backup power in, and that just makes it more complicated to get that grid back for Terrebonne General, but y'all getting it.
Right.
Makes it more complicated.
But it's the grid that feeds us anyway.
Right.
We don't feed Homer with this power plant.
Just a backup.
This is strictly for backup. We actually sell power from this plant to what they call a MISO grid, and even Entergy. Entergy, everyone sells their power to the MISO grid, and all the municipalities, cities, they all buy from the MISO grid.
But we
It's not
lose
separate
that
anymore.
income now, don't we?
Well, no, we get income when we sell to the.
Right, but if you don't have the plant, you lose.
You lose the income. Yes, you do.
Yeah, but I mean, any chance the feds are going to help and build it?
Yeah, I believe they will, but we have a lot of insurance on it.
Okay. I
think we have $150 million. I know we have $150 million coverage on it. So we have quite a bit of coverage because we're going to look to the feds, and because it is hurricane damage, on the power plant. But we can't. So we got to rely on our energy, our utility feed from Entergy. Entergy owns most of the transmission line, and that's the pipeline to get. That's like a pipeline to get you the electricity,
Right, right.
And the one we're trying to get is the one that goes right over by Coteau Road that goes to the west, and so it's it's moving. I hope we start powering people up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if everything goes right.
Let me ask O'Neill, the engineer again. As you looked at this through an engineer's mind, the structure and all, I would imagine every structural engineer in the entire state of Louisiana, and maybe more, is going to be very busy looking at all this.
Yeah, I think first thing is, of course, once we get the services, the water, electricity, and the basic services up, then comes the repair of what they're doing. And
I should say every engineer.
Yeah, that's going to be a host of work. Yeah, and that's we have a number of engineering companies here in Terrebonne. We're all staffed up. We got a group, but there's a lot of work when you start talking about just rebuilding the buildings and fixing the buildings and redesigning whatever needs to be redesigned. That's going to be, as you know, and when Gaudy talked about Cedric early on, one of the things is experience there is Cedric was representing Orleans for Katrina as a congressman. So he knows. Yeah, I thought it was a good thing that he's there because he knows the needs and how to communicate. A lot of times the problem is communicating with the federals to the locals, and I think he's in the middle of it. It looks like, and that should be good.
And I want to say this because people don't realize this, and I don't know if a whole lot of people have thought about this. The winds in this storm were worse than Katrina.
Right.
Katrina's levees broke in New Orleans, and the flooding became a nightmare, but the winds we experienced in Terrebonne and Lafourche far surpassed Katrina.
Absolutely.
If our levees would not have held,
well,
I don't even want to think about it.
You'd have got flooded twice. You'd have got flooded on the income, when Gaudy talked about early on, where we had 8 feet of water coming in. That water would have came in somewhere, and it would have did a lot of devastation. And then when it turned to the north, that same water, a lot of water, way more water than the size of Lake Boudreaux, would have been inside the system and trying to work its way out again. So, and I never imagined that much water going out. But at the same time, if it had hit us with a double whammy, it'd have been devastating.
And Gaudy, it's much easier to clean up a parish, and I got to give you and Sheriff Sonia credit for getting these streets clear quick. It would have been impossible with water.
Yeah,
in the streets
with mud and inside houses. You know, when a house gets flooded with the mud and all, I mean, the house is basically ruined. The biggest thing that we have to do right now is the Civic Center. We're over at the Civic Center, and we're giving out torps. We're down Chauvin. We down all the bayous, giving torps, water, ice, foods, and there's some cooking teams supposed to come down and. But you know the biggest thing is sewage, water, and of course electricity. Once we get that, we got Canadas open. We have Rouse's open right now. You know Canadas needed some diesel to get his generator going, and we were able to get Grady Gobert to go bring it. I want to thank Grady. You know, Grady Gobert really, it would Gobert.
He got us something to keep this station running.
He really stepped up to the plate. His distribution lines.
Your guys helped us. I want to thank y'all. Y'all helped us with the generator. So when it went down, so we got to get the signal up. But thank y'all. I appreciate it.
We're trying to get some convenience stores open so we can get rid of these long lines. And these convenience stores need generators. So we're trying to work with some convenience stores so they can start selling it. You know, and
that's what's going to bring the city back. Because as you go out the last few days, and I think y'all all would agree, you're starting to see life. And when you don't see life, and when the streets are full of debris and it looks like a dead zone, people get nervous. But as you start to see life, man, it energizes you. It really does.
Exactly. It is, Martin. And you can see it at night. It's dead. It's kind of dark and black and quiet at night.
Eerie, yeah.
But as soon as the sun comes up, there are people moving around everywhere. I mean, you know, we talk about the resilience of our people and how dynamic and how we coming back. Everybody knows we coming back and we'll be back. But in my little neighborhood, there's some you can tell everybody's working.
You know what I love
together.
about the people here, and Gaudy, you'll attest to this. You've seen it. You've been riding around. They don't wait for people to tell them to get in their yard and fix. They cutting their own trees, moving their own stuff, and cleaning up their own yard.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
right. That's
right.
right. And you know, that's why, you know, I made the decision along with Tim Saunier.
How you doing? We got somebody walking in the studio, but we live on the air right now. I got somebody. Hey, okay, well wait, we got a live delivery. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. That's very kind
All right,
of you.
well, okay, well, we're not going to go hungry.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hey, nothing like live TV, huh?
Exactly.
But that's the people of Terrebonne Parish.
That's right, yeah.
This guy we came in here just to deliver that out of the goodness of his heart.
Right.
I mean, what can you say about the people? And, you know, that's why I made a decision as you know, under emergency operations, statutorily, I have the final decision, but I make my decisions with my chief of police and, of course, the sheriff, Tim Saunier. And I get a lot of other people's advice, and that's why we decided not to put roadblocks and stop people from coming in. I believe everyone has a right to go to their home as long as they understand there's no electricity, no water. Of course, some people are getting water now, and you better have a generator.
And you're going to take a cold shower.
And you're going to take a cold shower, and it's going to be warm. But it's your house. I'm not about to stop people going to their house. And so we did not put roadblocks. No, in the past, they put roadblocks. But people, if we're going to get this economy going, we got to get the supermarkets up and running, which we do have some. Lowe's is operating now. I don't know if is Home Depot operating.
I've heard they were, but I know Morris and Terrebonne's operating.
Some of those, yes, Morris and Terrebonne. I know Chauvin Brothers is,
Yeah.
but you could call these different
In the
local
hospitals,
guys.
I've always said the hospital's the key to the community. If we don't get Chabert and Terrebonne General and Physician Surgery Center in Terrebonne, at least for that matter, Lafourche has their own set of problems. That's the heart and soul.
I had Scott Haydell, Dr. Scott Haydell, the Haydell Clinic. They had the damage to their office is about 25% of their roof. So they've already got contractors that's going to petition off the rest of their complex, and they're going to bring in some trailers, some medical trailers, and start treating people. He was coming to me about permitting and getting the generators up, and like I told him, just get them there.
Right.
I'll have guys sitting there writing your permit. Just get back open. We need medical in this
There's no
town.
doubt.
And
Jay, what were you telling me? All right, Terrebonne General is officially operating an emergency tent from across, so they are operating.
okay,
So,
they've been setting that up, and I know the and look, GOSEF has really been good with the state. I mean, they've been there every step of the way. And boy, and I want to also say on mile marker 18 to 20 on ICWW, which is the Intercoastal Canal, it's a pretty bad shoaling for marine vessels. Need to be careful, but I'm sure the Coast Guard has gone out to it. But
Right.
just individuals want to go run their boats to be careful. It's shallow. The Corps does have a dredge that I believe is out there now, and they'll start dredging tomorrow. It's going to take them 4 or 5 days to clear the intercoastal, and there's 20 obstructions on the Homer Ave. Do not run your boat in a Homer Ave.
And don't run it wide open anyway. Yeah.
If you're going fast and the vessel is submerged 2 foot of water, I don't care if you have a small boat. When you hit that, you could fly out the boat and kill yourself.
You know what I saw this morning?
I'm telling the public, please be careful in all waterways, not just that.
I had a water line break. Went to my house this morning. I saw water spewing out on the back end of the property into the intracoastal, and when I went look at it, they had thousands of mullet sitting by the fresh water going in. They're trying the fish kill is tremendous. I mean, if anybody on the intracoastal, you can smell it, but the fish kill. We've seen this in every storm that roars through. It depletes the oxygen in the water. The mullet was sitting there trying to get the fresh water into their system. So wildlife is trying to get it together too. It goes all over the place. It really does. Anything we miss that we need to tell the public, trying to think if we covered everything. Garbage pickup, you talked about that, electrical, water, gas, generators. Enough gas to run generators?
Well, we have the gas at full capacity. Or like I said here on your show before, over the years, excuse me, they have a 4-inch line going down Highway 311, and there's more generators than what the line capacity can take. So what the people along there can do is just conserve it and give everybody else a little more gas, and we are going to address that. We're going to put a moratorium on issuing permits for gas generators until we put another line down
for
there.
new permits.
Because it's better not to issue a new one, and everyone can't have one, you know?
Well, what you do, I mean, I do the same thing. Station, we got to keep on because we're broadcasting, but home, run it for a couple hours, keep your freezers cool, then shut it down.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you have a convenience store out there, get in contact with us, because we may be able to help you set up a generator. If you have fuel to sell, we want you open in business, but we want to, I mean, these long lines are terrible for these people to wait 3, 4, 2, 3 hours. I don't know, some maybe longer than that. And but Terrebonne is we're not up and running, but we're getting close to getting up and running, and there's life out there, and look, I want to thank the levee board, Tony Alphin and Reggie Dupre, Greg Gautreaux. And you know what? The engineers, Mitch Beaumont, O'Neill's son Dustin, who's been out there on a Bubba Dove trying to hurry up and get that, and of course O'Neill and his group, and Stevie Smith and his group with All South, and it's really been a concerted effort of engineers helping us, and of course all our departments. And
yeah, because we can't forget, we're still in hurricane season. We got to get these structures ready to go, because God forbid we have another one coming down. We still got to protect the parish.
Well, there's one on top of the Yucatan right now.
Yeah, I know.
As you well know, I hope you don't have to use the stick for a while. You know?
I hope we can retire it, period. Okay. O'Neill, anything else before we go?
No, I was thinking while y'all were talking, and I was with Gordy Friday, before the storm, at the OEP, and I think we attribute a lot of what we're seeing getting done right now to some real good planning in advance of this thing. I want to say that was a room. You know, you've been there. There's a room full of people whose full-time job is to prepare and get everything ready, and I want to thank them. You can't stop the wind. You can't stop the water. You tried and stop the water. You can't stop the wind. But now they're in, and it looks like all that planning is working out as best it can. And we all would like it to be done as quickly as possible. But I want to thank all those people out there doing that work. And it's hot. You know how it is. I was working in my yard. I'm getting old, but I can't do what I used to do. But those guys are putting in hours on hours in that heat, trying to get our services back. So I want to, if anything, I want to thank those folks. They're everywhere. I'm gonna just tell you. And if you see them climbing the poles, cutting the trees, hauling the trees. There was an elderly lady I saw yesterday with a wheelbarrow. She was rolling the wheelbarrow in the front yard, in front of Rouse's over there. And I'm saying, thank God for these folks.
No doubt. Let me ask the parish president as we leave. We got a lot of people in Houma watching on Facebook and YouTube, but there's a lot of people across the country. I've heard from friends who left Terrebonne Parish years ago that are tuned in all the time, and they're loading up trailers. They're helping out. You got to love to see that. Morton,
it's fantastic to see people come together. Look, my daughter was down hauling some tarps down the bayous and all in her SUV. She don't have a pickup truck, but she had but you could get a lot of tarps in an SUV, and we're trying to get them down, and people are on the roofs. Now, what I want to say about that, when you get on the roof, please be careful. I think they had a couple people fall from the roof. I think they're okay, but they when you go fall from a roof, you're gonna damage. You're gonna hurt yourself. And generators, I'm sure you've been telling them, please don't put those generators in the garage.
Right.
And
don't backfeed the line either.
And Martin, I gotta say this: Tim Saunier, Chief Coleman, they've been arresting looters, and Jason DeGate is putting $1 million bonds on them. And my hat goes out to Jason.
Absolutely.
I want to thank him. Though, and we passed a state law after Katrina. They get like 3 times the sentence for looting.
That's right.
So them guys better bring 1,000 toothbrushes because they're going to be in jail a long time.
Right.
And $1 million will get them out right now, and that's it. So
Can we make sure that wing of the jail has no air conditioning?
yeah.
Be the last thing we'll electricity.
No
to
air
that
conditioning and no water.
How dare someone rob during a hurricane when the people aren't there? They deserve as much book thrown at them as they can.
You're right. I appreciate it.
But you know what I'm saying. I want to thank you for getting back on the air. I know you. We're gonna try to get information out to the public as much as we can. I don't answer all the radios and televisions that call, but I do try to get on as many of the New Orleans channels, and I'm here all the time trying to get people to information. I know some people would say, well, we need information and we're trying to get it out. Thanks to you, you're getting it out, and I mean it's so important. But and I'm gonna say one other thing. When you see a truck with lights on it, I know that, or a car or whatever, or a police car, especially an ambulance, please pull over the side of the road. Now, since I've been announcing that, I find there's a lot more courteous drivers out there, and I'm not saying it's me, but there's some drivers who could care less.
No.
And who's ever got their lights on, they on a mission someplace.
Right.
There's a problem somewhere that we're trying to get, and especially if it's an ambulance.
And they might be trying to save somebody's life, so that 5 minutes that they got to be stuck in traffic could be the difference.
Right, and you know what? When you're going to pull over, it's going to take them 2-3 seconds to pass you up.
Right.
And let them get on their way. So, but a lot of drivers are courteous, and but all in all, I mean, look, thank everyone in this parish. Terrebonne, which is the good earth, came together, and like Neil put it very well just now. The people helping people, and
And I want to thank all the religious communities, every denomination helping out, and I also want to remind everyone that the bishop's going to be on tomorrow for his weekly mass via Facebook and YouTube, 9 a.m. So everybody can tune in and watch that. And it was great to see Pastor Dwayne Blaine and his church giving out items yesterday in Lafourche, and all the churches are helping out. So God sent us a doozy of a hurricane, but we need to lean on him. We don't need another one for sure.
Mom, we took and this is going to be a Cat 5.
No doubt.
We're Cat 5, and look at the structures still standing. Look at the structures that have minimal damage on them. We have some structures that have bad damage, a lot of damage.
I think we're sitting in one right now. Awnings are one thing, but the roof stayed.
That's right.
So that's a good thing.
I mean, but look at a lot of houses really fared well, and so.
But I can honestly say HTV is a Cat 5 building now.
That's right.
That's right.
Anyone whose house took this just happened is a Cat 5 structure.
But look, when I was watching those sheets of rain and wind come up during our live broadcast, there were moments when I doubted it. But those 9-inch screws that came through the rafters of the old roof and all, and then we foamed it. Amen.
When y'all took that break. When y'all took that break one time when y'all went check it out, you said I'm
What
on
happened
myself.
was the building pressurized, and when I was sitting here on the desk and I felt it pressurized, and my ears popped, I said, "Holy cow!"
Something happened.
Well, we went to the thing and ran upstairs. It had blown the door out, and it pressurized the whole building.
It sounded like, from what I remember, it was. You said, I'm going to look at it myself. I
ran up the stairs and I went, me and the crew, we blocked the door and put stuff up. But
we were watching. It was
you do whatever you got to do. And thank y'all again.
Whoever had chimneys, like my house has 3 chimneys in it, and you could hear that wind
whistling,
sucking that air out of your house. And I actually wouldn't go open my windows just so the way it was sucking that air, especially when that wind was coming from the north and then and it was coming from the east. either direction, it would just pull the air out of your house. You know, I mean,
Right.
the intensity.
You know, Neil, you
It's
alluded
just
to this
unbelievable.
on the
It's-
last one when you're hearing that coming through the cracks and you know, you
Making
hear
noise.
that for 12 hours, and it's like it drives you crazy.
stop.
And we couldn't be in the eye where we could have had a 2 or 3 hour break. You know, and
Yeah, we had
But-
to get the developing western eye wall, which developed over right before Terrebonne Parish. It became a beautiful eye wall. Before it wasn't beautiful, but
Yeah.
it got beautiful before it hit Terrebonne Parish. You know?
and more, there's a couple of banks open. Also, you know, we talk not to go to the bank. You know, you got a couple banks open, and that I know of, and it may be more than that.
And
so-
Leo today and a lot of insurance companies are putting multiple lines where people can call their claims. So if they go to the website of Leday Insurance and other insurance companies, make sure you get that and check your insurance carrier because they're trying to get people in and out. But I want to thank y'all for coming on board.
Thank
And
you, Mark.
I know y'all got a
Thank
lot
you,
more
Mark.
places to go,
Yeah.
and we're going to take a break here. We'll have more updates right here on the aftermath of Hurricane Ida.